Cassidy, I think just two things. One of the secrets that I think you really unlocked in terms of your success is that you take breaks from that environment and go and try different things and work in
Mm,
different units and do some traveling and travel nursing. Um, if I could look back at my own career with a regret, and I have a few, one of them would be that I didn't mix it up and say, have the insight to say, okay, I need to step away and go and work on this unit for a period of time, just to keep myself fresh and have a new perspective and see something new and not be locked in. And I had all sorts of reasons for staying locked in, but I think there's so many of the really great nurses with longevity are the ones who mix it up and work in different spots. The other thing I think is, and Nathan, I agree entirely with everything you just said there. And I think if we can implore people to understand the level of violence, and it is violence that healthcare workers and nurses endure on sometimes a daily or hourly basis, and that if it's things that you can't imagine being said to someone have been said to most nurses, and I think probably statistically more ER nurses than in other units, just because there's such a heightened level of stress and emotion and pressure there. But I get it.
yeah.
So let's move forward a little bit in the conversation and talk about monitoring, because I know you have had some unique and interesting experiences with monitoring that range from inappropriate and challenging to well beyond that. So I guess just first, generally, what was your experience like for the 3 years of monitoring and having to? I assume you were doing twice monthly urine tests,
Yeah.
or was it a bit different?
Yeah, my monitoring was 24 tests a year, and they said, it could be anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month. And my drug testing was twice every month. And then I would have intermittent hair tests if I went away for a weekend or went away for longer. Even though the testing could be 2 weeks apart, if you schedule time off, they would want to give hair tests. I hated hair tests. Just crossed some kind of boundary that I didn't know existed. Even 3 years into the contract, or 2.5 years, like when I was getting close to the 3 years with not a scratch on my record, they're still cutting off my hair and charging hundreds of dollars. So there was no kind of, never that I expected leniency, but when you started monitoring, people kind of talked about the longer you're with your monitor, you can build a rapport. It's not true. I had like 6 or 7 monitors, so I never was able to build a rapport. And even if I had the same monitor, I honestly don't think it would have made a difference, because I think they've got boxes to check off. That was the boxes they had to check off. So it doesn't matter who or what you've done. There's kind of no kind of bending. The rules are what they are. So yeah, it was 2 times a month, and they don't let you check in. Do you have a question, Nathan?
I do. Just I'm curious as to how many hair tests, because I want people to understand that these things are $600 to $1,000 a pop, whereas a standard urine, with a little bit of timing, will do the same thing for a couple hundred. Also, it's a violating procedure. It feels wrong, and it felt wrong to me. And I'm a man. I imagine maybe it feels a little different for a woman. Whatever the case, do you remember how many times they made you do that?
I don't have a record of how many times I was hair tested, but off the top of my head, I want to say at leat 5 times.
5 times in 3 years?
At least 5 times.
Wow.
Holy man.
At cost to you?
Yes, but I am with a health authority that covers the costs to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But if I was not with this health authority, then the costs come out of your pocket. And yeah, so I don't know if that encouraged them to do more hair tests. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Nathan
I'm not going to get riled up here, but I'll save that energy for later. But wow, I've never heard of that before or seen that before.
I don't know, because I do a lot of outdoorsy things like we were talking about. Like I do a lot of backcountry camping. So if you want to go away on a vacation in this monitoring contract, you have to request time off, and you have to request away time, and that has to be 3 days in advance if it's only 2 days, and if it's more than you're going away for more than 3 days, it has to be 2 weeks in advance. And it's not time off. They find out where you're going and they will find you a monitoring site close to wherever you're going. So because I did a lot of backcountry stuff, I was out of cell service. So if I ever wanted to agree to do those things, that what I think are what keeps me sane and sober, not this monitoring program that actually pushed me to the brink of insanity most times, to accept to go and do these things that kept me sane, I had to agree to getting my hair chopped off. Because I was going out of testing sites, because I wasn't able to be tested or check in, because I was out of cell service. So, I mean, on one side, yay, they let me do it. But on the other side, I had to pay for it on the latter side. So.
Wow. And what was your experience with having to give urine samples like?
So you have to log in the morning of, you find out whether you're up for testing or not. So I worked solely night shifts for the 3 years because I simply refused to leave midway through a day shift to go pee in a cup for somebody, because they tell you get to keep, your confidentiality, but you're leaving halfway through a shift for 2 hours, and then you come back and they're like, but you don't have to tell anybody. And I'm like, what? Like, you're leaving for 2 hours. Like, everybody knows that something's wrong. So there's 2 places that I would get tested at. If I was in between night shifts, I'd send them my schedule and I got tested at a site that was close to me. And then if I wasn't in between night shifts, I got tested at their facility. And the reason for that was the gentleman who's testing close to me only does it by scheduled appointments. So on my days that I wasn't in between night shifts, I liked the leniency to be able to go into their facility, because you could go in at drop-in times. So if I was going hiking, I could go there super early. The guy by my house, super nice, made me feel like a decent human being. He was very approachable, non-judgmental, had no bad experiences with this guy. And then there was the testing facility that was owned by my monitoring company, who I don't know if they have zero people skills, but they would wear gloves. They would stand back from you. They would treat you like you were gonna, I don't know, pee on them and they were gonna get some kind of infection from you. I don't know what they were thinking, but they just made you feel super terrible. And so I hated going there. Every time I had to go there, I was dragging my feet, because they're always so rude to you, show me your ID, show me this. And there's never any kind of nice conversations. And I did have a third testing person that I went to, and this was a mobile guy. So there's 3 testing people that I would go see. And this one gentleman was very, always gave me weird feelings, and he was always really weird. And I would hear weird things about him in our group meetings as well. Just kind of pushing boundaries and crossing boundaries and making people feel, or him being inappropriate. And I heard those things and I was like, that's weird, because he's never done those things to me, but I've gotten weird vibes. And then this was one of the people that generally did my hair testing, that would cut my hair off. And when I went there for my last testing with him, I remember we never had a rapport. He was nice, he would talk, we'd say hi, whatever. And then he was like, oh, you're still in monitoring? And I was like, yeah, I'm here. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't in monitoring. He's like, I was like, but I'm almost done. I have 2 months left. And he's like, well, I hope you don't fuck it up, because that's still a lot of time. And I was like, well, it's a really weird comment. Why is he saying things like that to me? And then when he was cutting my hair, he started touching my leg, which has nothing to do with where my hair is. And he was telling me, because I have a dog, and he was like, it's just like petting a dog or something. And I was like, it's, again, this is knowing addiction and being in it and not knowing that it's happening to you. It's when he was touching my leg, now looking back, and I'm like, that was so fucking inappropriate. Yeah. But I still didn't do anything about it. I was just like, oh, that's weird. And then let him finish cutting my hair. And then it was not until I got downstairs into my car, because on the way out again, he was like, don't fuck it up. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. I don't understand what just happened. So I remember getting down into my car and being like, I think he just crossed a lot of boundaries. That was really inappropriate. And so I remember emailing my monitoring company and being, because I was like, is he going to do something to my hair sample? Like, why was he saying, like, are you going to fuck it up? And why was he touching me? Like, there were so many weird things that happened. So